Hello, folks. Welcome to Minor League Doubles Behind the Goal, where it is the only legal place on the internet that we can show Agony's face.
Wow! Starting out savage. I like
My name is Inanimate J, your host for the next hour, alongside he who has been banned from multiple places on the internet, and that's why we have to show his face here and here alone. So, another week, and another good one, at least, as far as the league is concerned. I am so loud. Okay, hang on. I will fix.
Wow.
All right. Hopefully that adjustment's a little better.
I feel like we're just gonna record this and just cut every clip of you roasting me.
I mean, that was my best material. I kind of just decided that I only really wanted the one shot because anything else would, I mean, that would just be mean. I mean, have you seen his face? I mean, that's punishment enough, right? Anyway, so championship weekend come and gone, and the Elite have confirmed their place in MLD history with a 4-1 defeat of the Wolves. And
you sound so sad when you're talking about it. You're just like, I really wanted the Wolves to win here. So it sounds like what you're trying to do.
Well, I don't know. I don't really know who I wanted to win this one. I think you and I were both kind of split on the podcast last week in the sense that neither one of us really wanted to call this one. And we figured it was going to be close either way.
I mean, when it started getting closer, I started pulling a little bit more for the Elite, especially with Lockman retiring and everything. I wanted him to go out on a really good note. But I think with the Wolves, I think both people on the roster are staying through to next season, but the roster did split. So I think they have a little bit more of a chance here of finding their own championships. I think the series either way was close. Like, the scoreline obviously does not reflect where the series was at.
Right. I mean, the 4-1 series, the 4-1 series score, I think, is slightly unfair to the Wolves. Outside of, I think, one game, they were all really close. And I mean, they had a 3-0 lead in game one. And the Elite did what the Elite do, which is make a 3-0 lead evaporate late. And it really just kind of took the wind out of the sails of the Wolves.
Well, and then the Wolves came back and won game two, though, which I think was just one of the things where when we talked to the Elite afterwards, it was the Wolves adapted to what they needed to do, and they were able to come out strong in the beginning and hold a lead. And the Elite just weren't able to catch back up. And, I mean, they got a couple of goals late in that game, but it didn't really make any difference. And I think if the Wolves were able to carry anything they did in game 1 and 2 through the rest of the series, it would have been a lot closer of a series and possibly went to 6 or 7.
Well, how tilting is it that even if you win game 1 and you're winning game 2 handily, you give up a couple goals late, and then I think it was game 3 was really the turning point, though, because game 3 was that one that was really, really close until about just past the halfway mark, and that was a 1-goal. It was a 1-0 game. It was one misplay in the Wolves' end that Lockman pounced on, put home, and that was it. That was all there was for that game.
Well, yeah, I mean, he came in with the demo with Red, and we both reacted just amazingly. I mean, it was a great play by Lockman to read that Red missed the ball and to follow through and get the demo to take him out of the play and score the goal. And I think that the fact that the Elite were able to persevere even after losing, it was, I'm going to say, a pretty heartbreaking defeat in game number 2, because it looked like they were going to be able to come back about midway through with how much pressure they had, that they were just able to come out. I mean, they had the mentality. Both of those players have been to a championship before. Right. Lockman in season 1, Hero in season 1. In season 2, I don't believe either of them neither of them did make it in season 2 to the championship. But they both already knew what to expect with the pressure-wise and the way the series is going to be played and how competitive it was going to be.
Yeah, I don't feel like the pressure really got to the Wolves. I just think that it was one of those things where there were so many narrow mistakes, and they're not things that we haven't seen out of them all season long, even when they've been in high-pressure situations. And just, we talked about it. They never played the Elite in the season. And of pretty much every roster in the league this season, the Elite were probably the only team that played a style like the Wolves where they would capitalize on your every mistake. And I think that was probably the big difference.
Well, and the Elite made actually didn't make a lot of mistakes in their playthroughs after game number 2. I mean, they played really solid the way they usually play. They had a great midfield defense, and if it did get deep in their zone, it didn't make it out to the front of the net all that often. And I think that's what just something that shut them down. And we talked about it during the series as well, as the Wolves were just making the mistakes that the Elite knew how to capitalize on, and they did in games 3, 4, 5. And it just turned into the Elite being able to snowball away with the series and capitalizing on them.
Yeah, I mean, you and I talk about game 2 being so important in a best of 7. But when you split the series like that, it's usually game 3 that's the real momentum builder. Because even though it's not, it doesn't put you on match point, it's just that one step closer. And, people talk about the 4th win in a best of 7 being one of the hardest wins in any series to get. And it never really felt like that for the Elite. It felt like the 2nd win was actually the one that was a little more difficult.
Well, yeah, I mean, especially just the way the Wolves played in game 3, both teams are really tight game, and there were a lot of mistakes in the game, and we did call out a few different mistakes where there should have been a goal scored. Yeah. And it was just the one backflip from Redwater, and I think we even talked about it after that game, is there's one mistake in those close games that can just mean the entire breakdown of the rest of your series, or just even that game in particular to make you lose it, even if you had played a perfect game since forth and it's still a 0-0.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that you can break down pretty much as far as you want to go, and at the end of the day, it's still the sum of what mistakes did we make that we got punished on, what mistakes didn't we punish from the other team. And with neither team making a lot of them, that was one of those things. It's you have to defend that one, and as the team that scores it, you have to score it, and that's.
And the big thing from the Elite as well is, I think the one thing they did that the Wolves didn't do in that series is they didn't use the corner and the backboard a lot. They used most of the midfield passing to get it out the center. And I think that's what helped them in the later games, is just being able to get it away from the midfield line, off the wall, out to Lockman or Hero waiting in center for a shot. And the Wolves, it was always straight into the corner, Ginger up high into the corner, and a drop straight down to try to get it to Red, but it was usually knocked away before it even made it into the box.
Right, and we talked about that a little bit on the podcast in the build-up to it, in the sense that the way that the defense works for either team, the Wolves being... I think really just what happened was the Elite took a page out of the Wolves book, which was take it out of the corners, out of off the midfield boards. And if they play it more through the center, it pulls the Wolves a little bit more out of position, just because they're so used to playing in those corners and off those walls that they just really weren't able to respond well, I think, to the change in play style.
Well, and the Elite's play style, I feel like, changed halfway through the series as well. I mean, they went at the beginning, they went with the thing we knew them to do, was just nothing but Lockman fighting for possession in the corners and running the ball upfield. And then in games 3, 4, 5, you saw Hero start taking the runs upfield, trying to get that ball on net, even out the center. And it just started to work so well from him. Gotta love the chat just going off for Jay. I'm getting roasted today, guys, so I don't, I'm all for it. But I think the Elite, whenever they change their play style, they have that sort of repertoire, like, all right, we can play like this for one game, and if we need to, we can completely change it up on them so they don't know what to expect in the next.
Yeah, and that's the one thing that I think we saw to the Elite most of the season, barring a couple of the games where they didn't really look like themselves, they just didn't have a lot of answers. Neo Tokyo comes to mind, and they'll hate me for bringing it up, but it was one of those series where they just never really got into the series and they had an answer for it. But for the most part, they always adapted to the situation being presented to them. Whereas the Wolves, I don't really think that they were under a lot of pressure to change a lot, outside of maybe 1 or 2 series where they were playing with Ravens fan, and things were a little bit of an unknown factor.
Hold on, I'm responding to someone in chat. I think I have to give it to the Wolves, though. I mean, they made it this far, and they played really well the entire season. I mean, both these teams only losing one series throughout the entire season, and the Elite was against the Dodgers on Neo Tokyo, and the Wolves was... I pretty much just called it an NCP because the roster was gone like the day afterwards due to some issues on Discord. But I mean, they lost to the Hawks in week 4 or 5, somewhere around there with Drum and SoFly. So both losing to interesting places in the season, to teams that we, at the end of the season, never thought they would have lost to, especially the way they were playing at the time. But the Wolves, when they made it this far, they played really well in the series. It's just the mistakes kept adding up in the later games, and they just weren't able to pull it back.
Right, and it's one of those things where teams have to know how to close out games, and they have to know how to adapt, and the Elite just did that better, and it's kind of why they ended up taking the series in the fashion that they did. Nothing, take nothing away from the Wolves. It's not like they played poorly, just the Elite played better given the circumstances.
I mean, you went into the championship too, and we talked to them a little bit on Wednesday. I mean, we talk to them a lot usually. I think we even talked to her a little bit personally on Wednesday, if I'm not wrong. And it was just sort of like, he knew what he was looking forward going into it. I talked to him at least before the podcast on Wednesday.
Yeah, I don't think we did it on the air.
I mean, talking to him a little bit before the podcast on Wednesday, he was already mentally ready to go into it. He was practicing every day with Lockman, able to get through it, and I think it might be a little bit awkward might have been awkward for the Wolves because Redwater, now playing mostly on PC, has to go back to PS4, and back, PS4 and back, and I think that might get a little bit awkward with the system, to be honest, because it's hard as heck for me to switch from PC to PS4 when I have 1,000 hours in PC and like 10 on PS.
Right.
But I think the matchup, regardless, was a great one. The 4-1 doesn't reflect how close the series really was inside during the games.
No, I mean, you look at Game 3, and Game 3 can go completely differently. I mean, let's take the Redwater backflip into the Lockman demo and goal out of the equation. There were a number of chances both ways in the game up to that point that just refused to go in the net. If any one of those goes in the net at any point, it changes the game entirely. And I mean, the fact that that was the only goal in the game really surprised me, given how offensive the teams had been throughout the season. And then I just think that one was the straw that broke the camel's back mentally for the Wolves. I just don't think that they really found a way back into it after that one.
I mean, another take on that too is that if that goal didn't happen, that goal happened at like a minute and a half left in the game as well, leaving the Wolves in a higher level competitive game. Pretty much no time to come back with how close that game was. Both teams really not making mistakes. I mean, if that game if that goal never happened, we possibly saw an OT Game 3, and the Wolves, we've seen them, and when they go to OT, they usually take that goal pretty quickly. And the Elite and OT are just sort of back and forth. It depends if they get the first ping pong chance or not.
Right, and a lot of that just depends on the texture of overtime. I mean, faceoffs are so key. Make one poor one. Take Game 4. The Wolves had one poor face-off, and suddenly they face themselves down 2-0 inside the span of a few seconds because it just snowballed against them. And that's the thing, right? Like, if you're not the strongest on face-offs, if you don't come in with a set plan, then overtime might not be the greatest thing imaginable. I mean, you and I both know from our experience how many times we've punted a close game that we felt we should have won because we torch off in the first 10 seconds of overtime.
Oh, we've also lost games with like a minute left to go and dropped three or four goals in a minute, and it just anything can happen in that span of time. It just seems that we've made a lot of mistakes. I mean, last night we had a great night. Last night,
the last 3 games notwithstanding, we were fine until after we played Subbin. It went downhill from there.
Yeah, we played Subbin and just beat him and got a great division. Then we lost 2, and I'm like, I'm out.
Yep.
I'm not torch knifing where we're ranked, but I mean, we had a great night last night. But a couple of nights ago, 2 nights in a row, we played, and I was playing like crap. Mackie was back flipping like crazy. He still is. You have
I'm always bad. I'm always bad.
3 walk-in closets full of purses right now, okay? And it's just every time you backflip, somebody walks in, takes one out, and just walks out of your house.
I have the rack out on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
But, anyway.
You just know when somebody takes one because it just automatically triggers you to backflip.
Yeah, but at least I have a starting spot.
Oh.
Anyway, I think it's actually really good to see the number of faces in chat right now. I think this is the most viewers we've had for a podcast. Not necessarily the most. Yeah, since we started. So it's really good to see that the community is really coming out and are really, really interested in this. We hope the interest stays up. Yeah, Chernobyl, I see you. But yeah, it's great to see that the community's expanded the way it has, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how things go into the future. But I think speaking of the future, we might as well get into why everybody's here, because everybody has been chomping at the bit for this one. So we'll transition right over to actually, you know what? I'm going to give you all a splash screen in the middle of this one first because I can. Because I have the graphic and I forgot I had the graphic here. So we'll just cut over to this one right now. So get your hype hats out. The draft lottery is ready to go. And keep in mind, folks, we're not actually getting ready to draft any players. We're just going to pick the positions that everybody's going to be drafting in for the upcoming season with all the roster changes coming in. And as you can see, we have a sweet new overlay thanks to Half Shelled Hero, and I'm really excited about that. The webcam should look a little bit better too, mostly because I actually learned how to use OBS properly.
What's OBS?
Yeah, pretty much. All right, folks. So the time that you've all been waiting here to see. Actually, Squatting Turtle, your cat gets a shout out. Chernobyl, yes, you've missed a ton. I mean, we've been doing this for almost, I think, 12 weeks now. So
let's see here. We started in between week 4 and 5. We were supposed to do 3 and 4. We started after week 4.
Yeah.
And we went 6 weeks after that. Also counting, we did podcast during the breaks.
Yep.
So we've been doing this for 14 weeks.
Yep, 14
the
weeks.
Actual length of an MLD season. So we've been doing it for 14 weeks.
Chernobyl, don't you follow me on Twitter? I tweet literally every time I go live. Anyway, Nightbot has taken Squatting Turtle out back. But without further ado, let's get right into this one, as I'm ready for it. I think chat's ready for it, and there's really no point with stalling out any longer. So we'll go behind the scenes here and draw the first ball out of the invisible drum. And Agony. All right, Agony. Let's pretend to draw the ball.
Okay.
All right. Agony opens the ball, and it is the Bears. The Bears with the first overall pick. So not the Pandas, unfortunately. They're like bears, but these ones are colored in 2 shades of blue. So congratulations to the Bears. They will pick first overall with the draft coming up in the future. And I think that's probably a good start for them, to be honest. I think Deheimer is retaining the captaincy as well, but he does have a full roster, a fully vacant roster to work with. So
I mean, I think are we adding new teams this season?
There have been discussions about that, but there's nothing concrete yet. Mostly because there's a lot of decisions that go into potential expansion. But
we have a lot of free agents.
Yeah, it is something that we've been aware of. We're just we're trying to get things right before we go ahead and pull the trigger on that. But okay. when it happens, we'll let you know. We'll let everybody know. Trust us, guys. It's in the works.
Cloudfield actually hit the best meme ever. Not a couple years, about 3-4 years ago. The NFL literally has a new meme. The Bears. It was the best thing ever for the longest time. You could play drinking games with it, but anyway, continue.
Right. Yeah, right. I think with Deheimer having first overall pick, that gives him a lot of flexibility, especially with the number of free agents available. There are so many people to take looks at and potentially pick up in the first overall spot. I mean, even with the known quantities that we have, even some of the unknown quantities too, there's so many people right now in the league looking for team, and it'd be really interesting to see how Deheimer goes with that pick. Yeah,
I mean, well, and I think we're also doing like somewhat of a combine thing. We haven't really discussed that yet.
Yeah, that'll be discussed further as well. We haven't quite decided on the exact format, and it might be just like a number of events over the course of a couple of weeks. So just keep an eye out on I think it's the off-season schedule channel in Discord. As soon as the council gets stuff figured out, the channel will be updated. We'll have dates for stuff going in there.
And we'll have stuff to yell at.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, so let's get on to pick number 2. We've broken this one down enough. So, pick number 2, the Dodgers. Old man Ray getting himself the 2nd overall pick, which will be quite useful, I think, right behind the Bears, given the Dodgers season.
Well, he has a legacy to uphold with the Dodgers team name as well. I mean, you have a season 2 championship. And a possible season 4. I mean, even a playoff run for the Dodgers right now would be amazing. But you can also tell that if Tasty Chicken comes back watching next season, he's going to want the Dodgers to have a great pick here. So getting number 2 gives them the cream of the crop here.
Yeah, and I think for the Dodgers, with that history, with that name, the chance to really build that franchise into something that can really take a candle to the elite legacy and put a little cinch mark around it. I think, you know, Ray will have a really good time doing that, especially with the number 2 pick here.
Well, Ray is, I'm going to say, probably one of the better players right now to be one of the better captains right now, like skill wise.
Right.
You know, he has some decent mechanical skill. He's able to get some nice touches on the ball. And he has pretty decent shot placement as well. I mean, I think you've played with him a little bit in a private match or something like that. But
I played against him 3 times yesterday in King of the Crates on Shift's channel.
Really? I mean, yeah. Well, decent shot. I mean, you know what I mean. Decent shot placement, has able to get some nice touches, and I think that, you know, if he can pick the right people on his team. You know, obviously with the points and everything, but if he picks the right people, that team will be a force to be reckoned with. You're going later into the season, 4 season.
I think to be honest, that really goes for any team that is looking with a fully empty roster. With that kind of flexibility and that kind of the pool of talent we have in the league right now. It's the biggest pool we've ever had, and it is really fantastic to see the types of combinations of players that can be coming out, and seeing the scrimmage channel as active as it's been has been nothing short of amazing to see how active the community's gotten in the last 2 weeks alone.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, well, we obviously keep growing. I mean, every time we do a stream, like we did the championship, we had a couple people come in, ask how to sign up. We did, and it was every week before that as well. As every stream, somebody would come in, how do I sign up?
Yep.
When you guys, you know, when you do this, what's the skill cap? And I think that's just, you know, being out there in the community, and we're getting a lot of new people. We just got to find a way to keep it growing, and hopefully one day we have like a full league. Like, you know, this is a full, you know what I mean, like a bigger league, like more
we
teams.
have a full league.
Yeah, but I'm not talking just like, you know, 3 teams in each division. I'm talking like, you know, 6-team divisions would be like the main goal eventually.
Well, hey, we're looking for volunteers to help out with stuff. I mean, the more people that are willing to pitch in, the more likelihood that we'll be able to achieve and maintain, you know, a lot bigger growth than what we're working with now. All right, enough about that. Let's go to number 3 on the draft lotto here. Drum roll, please, Agony. All right, Pandas with the 3rd overall pick. Now that's actually a pretty good pull for them.
Well, who's the captain of Pandas now? Man, I always lose it. Were you looking at Eris? No, Cheese. Cheese has it. Okay.
Cheese does have the Pandas
has
captaincy.
the elite on the other side, so
that's right.
Cheese has the Pandas captaincy. Well, we saw Cheese all season. Is he fully empty roster? Is he keeping anybody for the carryover, or is he just empty?
I haven't heard any full details about that yet.
Okay, well, if he is not... Oh, man. That's actually a great thing. If he's keeping someone, which I'm not sure, I don't think he is.
I'm just checking the Discord rosters right now, and it does not look like Cheese has anybody on the roster currently. So that's a full open. Yeah, actually, everybody who was on the Pandas roster is now a captain. Old man Ray, who was signed as a last-minute replacement.
Yep. And they switched, and they defected to the other conference, which makes it interesting if they somehow meet in the finals.
Yeah,
season 4.
great storylines there, actually.
Yeah, the only team I see that stayed together at the moment is the Hawks.
The Hawks. Well, we can talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah, we'll talk about it when we get there.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, I think Cheese, I mean, just going through it, he's really smart on who he's going to pick, though. I mean, you know, even just listening to the way Cheese talks about Rocket League and about other players, I feel like he's going to be the guy in the draft that's not just looking at, like, all right, here's his rank, and here's what I need. he's going to be the guy, like, they might be prospect, but they have a skill that I could really use on the team, and we could develop everything.
Right, and I think with the range of talent, that gives Cheese so much opportunity as well. Like, we say that, we can literally say that about everybody here, but just to confirm, Cloudfield, no, it will be a straight rank draft, so 1 through 12, 1 through 12, rather than a snake. We felt that the amount of talent in the pool right now, it didn't offer a ton of benefit by having it snake back up the order from 12 to 1, and we think the balance will actually come out in the end. I mean, we could be wrong. This is a huge experiment for everybody with the league, and if we get it horribly wrong, we'll hear about it. 31 of you watching the podcast now, I'm sure that we'll hear about it in the end.
There will be a really big trade combine. It won't even be a draft combine anymore. It'd just be a trade combine. Like, hey, you want this player? Just watch him play. Maybe I'll give him to you for that guy.
Seems legit. All right, let's move on. Let's move on to pick number 4 here. Just tear up this ladder here. Pick number 4 goes to the Rhinos. That will be Azulite, who I think is still retaining. I think he's retaining Dejano as well, according to Discord.
Dejano.
According to Discord, yes, he is actually retaining Dejano. So that pick will actually just end up skipping, because it basically, under the rules, if any players are retained,
their first pick goes to...
Yeah, the first pick is essentially the draft pick, or whichever draft pick. I mean, in the case if they kept their full three person roster.
So they can't get like a 4-person roster or stuff like that.
Right, yeah. So everything would be. But 4th pick overall for the Rhinos will go to, it's not delivery, it's Dejano. Got him. It's even old meme. I actually used that on a week 5 call with Biza.
Yeah, I actually heard the meme. I heard that on stream. I was somewhere week 5. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, I don't remember where. I had to bring in a bunch of people to cover for you. It was a 3-game day.
Yeah, well, yeah, you brought in Biza and then Dazrin.
No, I actually had Umerix, and I brought in Biza and Umerix that day.
I came at the very end of that. No, I came in like week 7.
Yeah, Daz was helping me week 7 on Urban Central.
Week 7. Yeah, week 7. That's when I came back.
Oh, week 6. No, week 6. Week 6. But yeah, anyway.
Right before the final series. But yeah, I mean, I think with Azulite retaining Dejano, already a strong team for the season. I like Dejano and Azulite's playstyle, especially with the way they're improving. Obviously, the brick wall that stopped my team on Friday, which is why you're allowed to roast me today.
We didn't just beat your team, we swept your team. It was 4-0.
Hey, there was an OT in game 2, I heard, or 3. A really long one.
Okay, it was close, but we still swept you.
Yeah, don't get cocky over there. I heard about some of the scores. But I think when it comes down to it, that they're still a strong team. They do have a brick wall defense, I just said. But they have that 3rd spot open, so who they pick up, I think it's sort of going to be like, do they pick up an offensive player or somebody that's more well-rounded? We'll have to sort of figure that out over the coming weeks.
We're killing people with the build-up. Yeah, but it's only 5:30. I mean, we still have half an hour to fill. This is us with the epic stall for time, because we just need to fill time. All right.
After doing this podcast for 14 weeks, we know exactly how to talk so much that you feel like we're talking about something important, but we're really not.
Yeah. All right, moving on, though. Pick number 5 will go to the Ducks. So I believe,
new logo.
Yeah, the new logo looks really sweet. So I believe that's Mateo as team captain of the Ducks, with a full roster to work with as well. Yeah, that is what Discord is telling me.
I really got nothing about that. I haven't played in. I mean, I've played against Mateo. I played against him in Scrim last night. No, the night of the 1v1 tournament. But I played against him in that. That's the only time I really ran into him. And then personality-wise, I haven't talked to him enough to really know what his ideas going into the draft might be. I wish I could actually just get everybody one-on-one. Like, all right, what are your ideas for the draft? Don't give me your picks, but what are your ideas? So I could actually give you an analysis on the draft lottery. But it's really hard. But
yeah, this one's tough, because the Ducks, with so much roster turmoil to the end of the year, and now going into season 4 with a brand new captain and a full roster to pick from, that's, as analysts, that's really hard. It's basically impossible.
Yeah. And like Ray, we can talk anytime. I think I might actually do this. I might just set up interviews with all the team captains and say, hey, what are your ideas for the draft? So like on the podcast, like whenever we're doing the draft and we're waiting on them to make their picks, like we can talk about it and see what they're looking for. But I think with the Ducks, it's the hardest, especially with the new captains. Like that's it for me, really. Like the captains that have been here for a while, like Akai, I might know what Akai might be looking for. I might know what, Azalate or Bondi is looking for, like stuff like that. But it's really hard to say what these new guys are looking for in their roster when they build it.
Yeah, totally agree. So I mean, we'll see come draft day, and keeping an eye on Discord to see who Mateo's playing with, any kind of ideas, any kind of things that we might be able to see as analysts. Then hopefully we'll have something more super interesting to talk about here. Moving on, halfway through the order now. Pick number 6 goes to the Bulls. The Bulls picking up the 6th overall pick, and that's Bondi actually as captain.
I think this is an important thing for Bondi. Like he's taken over the team that had probably the best sportsmanship on it, even though the Sharks did get voted that last season. I think the Bulls went out with like the biggest display of sportsmanship I've ever seen in Rocket League. And you might agree with that. It was probably the best thing they did. I mean, they went out saying this was our last season, but they told everybody how good the league was being ran and everything. And I think it's just a legacy, sort of like the Dodgers coming down into Bondi. Like you're inheriting a legacy of sportsmanship on this team, and if that's carried over, I think that's the most important thing for me on this side. But I haven't talked to him enough to where I'll know who he might be looking for in this draft.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's something that we'll see over the next couple of weeks now as we start to hammer out dates and really get down to talking to people to really figure out what their thoughts are and just exactly what direction a lot of the teams are going in. Because I think really until draft day, there isn't a lot we can really talk about, especially with the teams that did pick up new captains in the last week.
Yeah, I mean, we know a lot of them. I think like 5 teams pick up a new captains out of the 12, so
something like that.
I mean, we have Ray, which wasn't a captain before him, but we do know him now. We had Bondi, Mateo, Akai, I believe, has the captaincy now for the Hawks.
Furphy does, actually. Furphy
does. But Akai has a spreadsheet, apparently, is what they said in chat earlier.
Yeah, Akai's running the GM spot. She's doing all the work. She's actually doing all the work scouting for Furphy.
Yeah. But we do have Cheese down in the Pandas. I mean, there's a few other guys here. Hunter is retaining the Wolves captaincy.
I don't think that's actually been 100% confirmed yet. And I've seen Hunter in chat, and Hunter might confirm that here, but I know for a fact that hasn't been locked in.
He has all the tags on Discord, and nobody else has them. That's all I have.
That's only because the decision hasn't been made yet. As far as the info that I have been given goes, is Hunter is still deciding his future yet, which is fine. I mean, all teams do have till the 22nd to decide that one. But we'll move on. We can talk about that one more later today. Pick number 7 into the bottom half of the order. This one will go to the Sharks. So I believe this roster is actually staying together. So this one is actually a skip, which I mean is fine. Like we really loved seeing the Sharks play together through the course of the season.
I think the more impressive thing to me was how much they improved over the season. Like you could tell,
right?
Every time
Absolutely.
Like we didn't get to cast one of their games till week 5 or 6, though. Like we had them as Saturday primetime week 3 against the Pirates, I believe. Okay. I remember us just skipping them a couple weeks because their scheduling was so bad for us.
No, they got a couple NCPs in their favor in weeks 4 and 5.
Then we finally got to see them again. I mean, but I still think the most interesting part was like seeing them early on, and then a couple weeks later, see them play again, and you could just tell the difference in skill. And it was just like you can see the improvement in a Rocket League player that's actually trying to improve in the game over time, even if you don't need to play every day.
By the time we hit week 10, they were easily one of the most improved rosters that had stayed together the entire season. And
one of the only rosters that stayed together the entire season. I mean, there's obviously the top teams that did, but a lot of the rosters were mixed this season.
Hey, Clay, in the chat, we started listening to your advice. Well, that just goes to show you, though, that I'm not crazy. I'm just kind of a blowhard. I'm full of hot air, but there's some substance there. I'm fine with that. Everybody calling the picks Everybody's calling the lottery rigged. All right, we'll carry on with this completely rigged lottery. Move on to pick 8, which will be the Hawks. Spreadsheet's a go-go. So Akai and Furphy will...
Hold on. I have to ask it. Does your spreadsheet have Wendex on it?
Oh, Lord. Cloud Fuel with the love to see the list of teams with who still have them, what pick they have, a little info about the team. Something like that might be in the works. I'm debating how much I want to contribute to that kind of project, because I'd love to see that too. Yeah, I mean, Agony, if you and I want to actually hit that up, because I think based on last season, you and I are probably two of the best candidates for that.
I might even throw the draft analysis on there as well after I talk to everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be down to help contribute for sure. So we'll actually.
You guys want to get in touch with, I'm going to say this now so I can remember. If you guys want to get in touch with me for an interview about a draft analysis, make sure you do PM me on Discord, so I can get in touch with you. It'll be within the next week for me to get in touch with you, probably on the weekend, but all that fun stuff.
He doesn't sleep anyway, so just message him at 3 in the morning, and he'll probably answer you.
or 6 in the morning, or 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Any time during the day, and I'll probably answer you.
If he's online, he'll probably answer you. He doesn't have a life.
Yeah, very true.
Also, Cathexis does have a master spreadsheet that the league is using to keep track of all this stuff. So that will be posted to the captains at some point once we finish compiling everything. So have no fear. The league is here. Okay, while he's facepalming, we want to pick number 9. This will go to the Foxes. So that will be MacGyver captaining the Foxes. I think Silence is being retained on that roster as well.
Well, yeah, MacGyver and Silence, I'm going to say they were probably one of the better power duos that came in late in the season, like that started late in the season, because MacGyver came in decently late for after the season start. But I think with those two on the roster, they don't really have much of a gap to fill. Both of them can cover some really big roles, and I think they just need to find a way to get either a well-rounded player or a player that really needs to improve on certain aspects of their game.
I think what the Foxes need the most is somebody who can consistently play with both Silence and MacGyver. Because of the roster rules, you need somebody who can play with both of the players that are still on that roster effectively for at least 60% of the season. Because one player is going to have 3 games with them, the other player is going to have 3 games with them. And that's a critical decision for teams that are retaining one player.
I mean, yeah, you're also looking, you have the console differentiation there as well. Silence on PS4, MacGyver PC. You have to, maybe, if you have a chance to get somebody that has both. Or just try to find someone that is able to easily, that always wants to organize a scrim and just get your team online and scrim every day. See if you can do that. But I think the Foxes, if they're retaining MacGyver and Silence, they really have to put thought into who they pick. Especially since they're so late in the draft here in round 1, it's going to be really hard for them to come back and say, okay, this guy's the best fit.
Yeah, I think the one thing for them, though, is, I mean, with the talent pool this deep right now, I think that even having the 21st overall picks, we're talking about like 12 picks from the first round, and then there are 9 picks into the second round. I think that's not, like, I don't think any pick position in this draft is really weak because of the talent pool that there is available right now. Just with everybody available, it's so deep that you can see really quality people going late because of any number of reasons, salary cap reasons.
And I can also see, you can also see at the Foxes, though, is Silence and MacGyver are not low-ranked players. I mean, they are decently high-ranked for where they play at in Rocket League. Their salary cap might not be able to accommodate a skilled player at number 9 in the first round. They might have to take someone that's Challenger 2, Challenger 3, and just work with them over the season to improve that on the boosted salary cap after the first couple weeks, and see if they can go up.
Yeah, I'm just checking. I'm just checking the master list right now because I'm actually legitimately curious myself. And wait, oh, that's why. Okay. No, they have actually a fair amount of room to work with, to be honest.
I mean, but you still have to look as like they can't just recruit anybody they want. They still have to take that into consideration because they have to also put in their own improvements to see where they're going to get to that boost.
Right. I mean, every team that is retaining people is going to have to make the same decisions. Even the captains that have a full roster to work with are going to have to make those decisions. Is how do you spend your points, and how close to the draft cap do you get, and how much room do you give yourself moving forward into the season where you have a bit of room to grow into, but it's not a lot.
Yeah, I mean, you have a couple of, there's just barely a couple ranks to move into. I mean, I know if you had a superstar on your team right now, they could go just a bit above superstar, like you can go in the champion now with the boosted draft cap, just because they might improve during the season. But ranks will start getting really interesting later in the season.
To answer Cloudfuel, the date that the cap is going to be based off of is probably the 22nd. We're looking at doing a master poll of everybody's MMR at that point for our list, and then that'll be what's disseminated to the teams. And then at the start of the season, we'll be re-examining everybody, but using the upper level cap to determine whether or not teams are still within the salary cap. Hey, Cloud, I'm in the middle of a free fall right now. Torching off those ranks, Cloud.
Cloud, if I was building a team, I would take you on just so you could free fall even further, because I suck worse than you do.
I would take Cloudfuel for the easy retweets. Anyway. Moving on. Pick 10 goes to the Pirates, and I know Cathexis has been waiting all podcast for this one. And I'm still torn. I like the new Pirates logo, and I don't like the new Pirates logo, because I like the old Pirates logo.
I feel like they stole the Pittsburgh Pirates old logo. Because the Pittsburgh Pirates old logo used to actually be a pirate.
That's fair. I mean, to be fair, the color scheme on the logo now fits the color scheme on the field, which yes. I've liked that's been the trend with how the league's been redesigning the logos. That being said, I'm curious as to what the Ducks color scheme is going to look like next year, because it was orange and green, which was great. We only had 2 orange teams, and there were so few color conflicts. But there's 5 teams that have a blue color base now, and I'm really dreading making lobbies for the upcoming season. The Ducks
are going to be orange still, because not yellow because of the bill and the logo. Yeah,
it could be yellow with blue. And then the only conflict they would have is with the Rhinos, and then that's an easy invert from yellow primary to blue primary. That's fair. That makes sense. But
we'll have home and away jerseys for the teams. Don't worry.
And the old Pirates logo is on the bandana on the new Pirates logo. Yeah, I know. For me it had such a clean impact for me.
Hold on, here's the impact the old Pirates logo had to be. Hoist the colors!
You know what's awesome is right when you looked up, Skype froze, and you got frozen like that with your audio going. Anyway.
What remind me of that was Hoist the Colors if you guys have ever watched Pirates of the Caribbean.
That's fair. I think that from what I understand, Cathexis has a full roster to work with as well, so he will have the 10th and 22nd overall picks. So that's good to work with, I think, because he was relatively consistent for parts of the season. There's just a couple times where he was on vacation, and when he came back, just wasn't that great.
I think, I don't know, the Pirates were up and down for me all season. To be honest, I don't think they should have made the playoffs. I mean, they played well, but I don't think they should have. But they also, their division didn't go well at the beginning of the season for the Rhinos, and who else is in their division?
The Bears. No,
Bears.
The Dodgers. Sorry, the Bears are in the division with the Bulls and the Elite.
The Dodgers are in the division with the Bulls and the Elite.
Are they? I'm drunk.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's fine. Okay.
You're drunk? Oh, you heard it here first, man. This man above me right here, he drunk. What are you doing up there? All right. Let's see here. There's
Alstano, you live in the land of pasta. Don't lie.
All right. I think it was the Bears, though. Anyway, but
somebody will correct us. It's easy.
Yeah. I feel like the only reason the Pirates made the playoffs is because, I mean, obviously they played well at the beginning of the season, but the rest of their division, it did not have a great start, and they started picking up near the end. So I'm a little bit lenient right now on the Pirates. I can't really call it, but I think Cathexis is going to be looking more at the combine to see what he can fill, because I think he has pretty much an empty roster.
He does have an empty roster, and his own price tag is actually quite reasonable. So he does have a ton of play with where he wants to go with that roster. I'm really looking forward to seeing how that roster develops. Cloud Fuel, to answer that question about if new teams are added, will they get first picked? We don't know yet. That is completely up in the air at the moment, and as soon as we have a decision on that, we'll let everybody know. We might just redo the entire lottery just to screw with everybody.
I think if there's new teams added, we need a Penguins team, just because Penguins, I like Penguins. Like, I might like the Pittsburgh Penguins, but Penguins are such cool animals.
The only problem I have with a Penguins lottery, or with a Penguins logo, sorry, is the only color I could see working with the color palette that Psyonix gives us is blue. We have too many blue teams.
Nah. Could do black and yellow, because black and yellow there actually are Penguins that are black and yellow.
I guess that's fair. Okay, you know what? Enough stalling. Let's go on to the 11th pick here. No real surprise. This one goes to the Wolves. And on that note, we'll just show up the 12th one. No point hiding it. The 12th will be the Elite. So the top two teams after the playoffs pick 11th and 12th in the draft lottery here.
Well,
no surprise.
We don't even have a set captain for the Wolves. We can't really see where that's going to go. But we have a brand new captain for the Elite, and that's Eris. So he's moving over from the Pandas from last season. Eris, his price tag's pretty high from his rank, I think, like for the current South Cap on the draft.
I think Eris is actually the highest rated player in the league. So him on captaincy probably gives him the best spot to work with determining who he can and can't pick. I mean, in that sense, he has the least flexibility, but also has the most concrete definition of who he's looking for.
Yeah. I mean, he can look for, well, South Cap's. I have to read through the document again, but the South Cap's not that high to where he could just pick another superstar and prospect. Like, he has to pick someone below superstar, no matter what.
Yeah, I think the math that we worked out was he could probably get somebody in about the shooting star range, and then somebody in
challenger.
The mid to low challengers, which is a decent balance, or even just like a couple rising stars, or like a rising star and like a low challenger lead or something like that.
I mean, either way, I think the Elite is going to have to be a really good, like an improvement team. It's not going to be a stacked team to where both like all the players are just gods compared to every other team. It's going to be one of those improvement teams to where we're looking at them being competitive all season, but not just completely dominant.
Right, a lot of that I think is going to come down to the picks that Eris makes with regards to who he picks up as second and third, especially because those two players together are going to have to play. They play 3 games together themselves, and basically the math behind it is Eris gets 7 games. The same goes for everybody in the league. That the most games you're going to get is 7. So if you find somebody who is just absolutely face rolling the league, there's still a mitigating factor, right?
Yeah, the max they will get is 7 games out the entire season.
Yeah, barring
they have
playoffs.
to play with someone else. Yeah,
exactly.
Well, playoffs is there going to be a different system for that, or is just you pick who plays?
I think that's just going to come down to availability.
Okay.
That isn't something that I think we've fully hashed out, but I think what we had talked about internally was that it would be up to scheduling. Basically, as long as there's 2 people available at an agreed upon time, that's who we go with. But don't quote me on that. I think that one's still under.
I think I'll be honest. I think that's the better way, but I can read that way.
Well, I mean, ultimately the playoff games need to get played, and I think
you also don't want to force like players like, oh, you have to play so many playoff games, because then it just gets to where it can be completely rigged to one team's side.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that'll be talked about later on. But
yeah,
the Wolves pick, if it's Hunter, he has something to look forward to as well because he loses Redwater this season.
I think of all the people, if Hunter retains the captaincy, I think of all people, Hunter might have the outside of Eris. Like, let's take Eris and Hunter. Both of them will have really strong ideas of who they want to play with and what qualities they're looking for, because I think those two as players are probably the more highly developed ones. I mean, Eris, based on his matchmaking rating and what we've seen out of him individually, and Hunter just with how he approaches the league and the team and just what he wants out of Rocket League in general. He has a really concrete idea of what he's looking for, and that's something that can't be overlooked.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's going to be the way anybody approaches this, because this is something we've started that's just brand new. So every captain might be coming into this to like, all right, I need to find somebody that's going to fill this role if I'm not there, and somebody that's also going to fill this role if he's not there. So, well, I'll use the Hawks, for example. They have one person to play with. I mean, they have Akai and Furphy. Akai, we both know, again, just like Azalea, stonewall on defense. And if need be, she can attack the ball. Mm-hmm. They need, and they're going to be looking for someone that has decent defense and can still attack the ball. Just because both Furphy and Akai are really good on defense, but they can still attack the ball. So they're going to be either looking for an attacker or looking for someone that's just the same exact role as they are.
Yeah, just looking at the chat, Hunter saying that the pep talk we gave him off the air really helped. I appreciate that, and I really hope it did, because that was always the intent. Deep Pants, I don't know how to respond to the sequence of conversation.
So Deep Pants, what happened is I'm the one that gives the random drug test, and if you have Adderall, I might ask you for some.
I had a great idea to roast you, but I'm pretty sure it goes against Twitch terms of service, so I'll leave that one off the air.
No! It's Wednesday. Let's go.
No. I don't feel like getting reported today. Don't worry about that one. We'll just.
I didn't say no random test. Someone else said no random test.
I didn't know that you were the one who arranged the things with Trump in that hotel room.
Oh.
With you giving the tests, if you follow my logic.
Oh my. Just.
There's the agony leaving webcam for the day. Got him. Oh man, that felt good.
Everybody that follows any type of politics relating to Trump knows exactly what you were talking about. Anybody that doesn't is sitting there just like, huh?
Anyway, on that note, we've got all the picks on the board here. All the captains have an idea of where they're going to be, where they're picking, and what they're looking for. So, on that note, I think we can pretty much go into the sign-off here. I think you and I need to talk off the air over whether or not we're going to keep doing this for the next few weeks. I'm not really certain if there's a lot to talk about, so we might just shelve it for a couple of weeks until we have some more concrete dates. And then
watch Twitter.
Yeah,
watch Twitter. That is the best.
Yeah, actually, best thing to do now is let's plug the channels here right now. So, social media channels, the website mldoubles.com, as well as Twitter /mldoubles, Facebook /mldoubles, as well as the YouTube channel. Links are in the chat there. Follow us as well at NanimJ at AgonyRL and get notifications when we're going live. D-Pants, I saw you just followed me back finally after I think 5 months of me following you, so I appreciate that. And we'll come up with some concrete dates for the draft and everything leading up to the draft. And I think you and I will have a preview episode or something like that the week before.
We're obviously going to have a draft podcast, and then
obviously we'll have one before, we'll have one after. Easy 2-episode thing. We'll also get on doing some actual writing and updating things on the website as well. So that'll be pretty sweet.
and I might write an article on the analysis of the draft. You never know. I might actually write something.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking with Half Shield Hero and the rest of the council as well about getting more written content up on the website, and potentially changing the website around so that we get some more regular content regarding the league up there, just to help have stuff to push, which I think will go a long way for having stuff to digest for the casual viewer. On that note, folks, again, www.mldoubles.com, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube /MLDoubles. Hit up the Teespring store, pick up your Elite Season 3 Champions shirts, but don't tell anybody else I told you to pick those up. I'm probably just going to buy a league shirt one of these days just to put on the podcast. Follow us on Twitter at AnimJ, at AgonyRL, and big thanks to Half Shield Hero for all the work with the graphics here, with the amount of work he does behind the scenes and the production value through the roof, through the magic of OBS. Thank you guys so much for watching. Keep an eye out on Twitter to find out when we're next going to be on the air. But for the next couple of weeks, we'll see you when we see you. And for everybody at MLD, thank you guys so much for watching. Have a good night. We'll see you.
Peace.